the Midwest right now. It's like anyone who sees an ad on this right now, like
That's like
Texas is right there. But like in Minnesota, like, feeling summers on the servers are
I'm branding it as like sticky notes for reviews.
yeah, California.
That works. If you read books, like usually people put notes, and like if you don't read them, like
my
in a
friend
month,
said
you look back in the book, you're like, oh, I forgot.
like at night it's still like chill.
This is like takes you to the chapter, and there's like a note in there, so you can just read them.
I think it's like the West Coast. It's like you would spend
So the difference is like now because I'm looking at the text, like the speed, like if me and you were having a conversation and someone clicks something, I don't have to necessarily label it myself. It can just be like based on the conversation that we're having. So I can learn like how you might want to say it, and it could tag automatically. So just like press the button if you're watching a video, like oh that's interesting, press the button and it automatically tags it in a way that you want.
I just graduated. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that you do based on who your user is.
So I got a job here.
because they're all coming from different backgrounds.
Similar thing.
That's what I'm saying. I get 10 users.
And it's also it's a little bit slow.
You can build, maybe go back to the creators and be like, hey, these users are tagging these things, these are going to one.
Maybe those folks that review products like
What do you mean? Oh, like the factors. So
I've seen a lot
this
of
is
them
actually
when an
one of the
update comes out.
discoveries we had over. We knew this, but like
And it's like when I'm watching it, I don't really have time to go on my phone.
we have a massive like we have
Stop
a
and check it.
technical mode around
Mark them once that
but our biggest
don't know.
Kind of on vacation.
Get back to it later. That makes
it's
maybe
not
I'm
like
not
restoration hardware. It's
connecting to those
their existing hundreds of factors that they can use this way that they just do not work. Because like there's factors that do furniture, just wood, aluminum.
I mean, you probably
and
wanna
electronics factories
have somebody else do
like think like an export factory. And they have to export electronics and
And someone can build like the mobile app,
those furniture factories.
or the
you can have a student.
TV app is
So our biggest moat, I guess, especially going to these things do not interact, and so that's a complexity to figure out. And we figured it out of like using bottlenecks.
That's like my lunch.
yeah, right? Yeah. That's the first thing.
Like we'll do final service.
Yeah. I mean, I feel mail
Pushing back, some of them so let's say like they go through a lot of time, so electronics just in 2 weeks.
What's that?
Yeah, it starts getting expensive. They're going to start getting late. So
Going through the
yeah, it becomes more expensive. So the goal is we get the time away when might be like something our set order will be everyone's ready to go for the set. Do it on stage. Where it gets complicated is when we start doing replenishment orders to like people coming through. Originally when that back, oh, we can just carry very little inventory because we don't have SKUs. We're gonna have to probably carry inventory of the power bar at least to have that noise and make it home. Like I want like the furniture factory to find enough power bars that they like probably
if anything, it's a pretty good so that there's no case of it. He's able to reduce
having to slow down the assembly line.
But
But that's the it's a double-edged sword. The good thing is it's going to be really hard for someone else to
learning how
go do this.
3D printing.
But the other side of it is it's going to be hard to do it too.
It's like a controller, breakout,
It's all like
and really those are the core features. You know, Yeah. Yeah, we're streaming it. Do you know where the link is?
It's also like style sheet all in 3-1.
Yeah, it's too much.
Yeah, that sounds good. And whatever else we can use that, like the wafers themselves, we also need photos and stream.
How was
Yeah, that's a good long order of supply.
what's that?
It was, yeah. At least that was the center wafer on their site. I don't know.
For sure. I can see that. It definitely was. I think. Did you get any mentors or anything? Oh yeah, that's so super.
How's the spread?
Was
Pretty good.
Grind off beats the entire day because I'm the last one. Perk, man. Perk.
you guys have a good the cheesy? What's up, man?
How's it going?
It's they do some like structure. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the DC so that's a very
Yeah, I'm actually realizing now I actually don't have a good one.
like the one where I just
Yeah. You
yeah,
actually,
this one is
yeah. It's like it's not so bright in a way. Yeah.
yeah. So to see that
Yeah, it's great. And that 5 million A looks really weird. So yeah.
like yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So they run
It's
that
yeah,
pump up
it's like
before, but it
I know for me like once
yeah,
I
they
feel
don't
like
do it,
super
or if they do it, it takes like a month.
but I get like
Nice.
that was like something to come and talk to you guys.
You guys have talked.
No, you talked to Steve. Oh, we didn't talk to Steve. So people to talk to. That's,
Yeah,
yeah, that's what I
it's a
thought.
high stress job. I'm sure you're gonna like have to follow it up all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
All right, welcome guys. Thank you all so much for coming. We're going to get started in about 2 minutes. So if you're on the outskirts of the room, if I could just ask you to migrate into the center section so we can all sit together, and then we'll start in just a moment. Thank you so much.
See you in Houston. Or San Antonio.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all so much for coming today. It's really exciting to see everyone's face. My name's Barrett. If we haven't met, I would love to talk today at some point, so come say hi. Really excited to see everyone's pitch today and brag a little bit about the really hard work that these founders have done over the last 9 weeks. So I'm going to just start off by talking about the Launchpad a little bit, and then we're going to go into some pitches and some quick housekeeping items. So right now there's construction on the bathroom on the first floor. So if you have to use the restroom while you're here, you're going to go up the elevator to the second floor, and then right off the elevator, the women's room is to the right, men's room is to the left. So just so you know for that. And then we'll go into a little bit of an overview of the Launchpad. We'll do our pitches today. They're going to have around 8 to 10 minutes to share what they've been working on. And then we'll have networking and refreshments at the end, lots of mingling and fun times. All right, so what is the Launchpad? Why are we here? If you're not familiar with the Launchpad, it's an entrepreneurship hub at UT Austin. It's major agnostic, so it's the only on-campus organization that's not tied to any major, historically hasn't been tied to one. We offer mentorship. We have an open door opportunity for students to come in, meet with mentors across industries, regardless of their major or interest level. We have a physical co-working space on the first floor of the FAC. Students can come in during co-working hours and work together, work on their startup, which is where we've been meeting for SEAL over the past 9 weeks. We offer experiential learning through programs like SEAL and some of our other opportunities, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then we also offer resource navigation. So who's familiar with the UT Austin entrepreneurship scene? Who thinks it's confusing? Yes, more hands went up than people who knew about it, yes. It's very confusing. It's very robust. There's a lot of opportunity, which is amazing, but it's also hard to navigate. So the Launchpad really takes pride in wayfinding and helping students figure out where is their place on campus, how can they get the resources they need in order to launch their venture, big or small. I'm going to go back a little bit. So we recognize at the Launchpad that traditional academia has been designed to help students learn how to get a specific job, right? So you're going to school to learn a specific skill set. You're trying to get to an end goal here. With entrepreneurship, we have decided at the Launchpad, can we reframe that? Because we don't know what the jobs of tomorrow are going to look like, and our goal here is to help students create the jobs of tomorrow. So instead of taking down the path of learning a specific skill set for a job, can we reverse engineer that and ask students, what problems are you excited to solve, and how can we help you solve them? So that's really been our goal throughout the SEAL program and our other programs as well. Some of those other programs include our Entrepreneurial Mindset Bootcamp. That's sort of the top of the funnel. It's for students, whether they can spell entrepreneurship, doesn't even matter. You might not have any experience in entrepreneurship, and that's great. Come in, learn what an entrepreneurial mindset looks like and how to navigate that, how to cultivate it. We have startup grants for students who want to apply for funding. There are grants every semester between $500 and $5,000. Students can apply multiple semesters in a row, so they can take advantage of those grants multiple times, which is really fantastic. For me, that's a huge value add to be able to put money directly in students' pockets. We have a Gap Year Founders Program for students who just graduated who want to maybe explore entrepreneurship instead of going directly into a role or going directly into graduate school. So they can spend 9 months getting paid to explore entrepreneurship and learn about their idea, explore their venture, and avoid maybe going directly into the workforce, deciding whether that's the right path for them. Our Bridge Venture Fellowship is for students of color who are interested in learning about venture capital, and helps them navigate the world of venture capital, learn about fundraising, and cultivates in a great ending event that's across Texas. So students across the Texas system come to Austin and get to network and talk to venture capitalists. And then finally, SEAL. That's why we're here. So what is SEAL? It is, hold on, I'm going to go back to all these things. It's a 9-week summer accelerator that these students have been going through. Now we're in our 15th year of SEAL, so it's been going on for a long time. We've had students that have gone through and gone on to Y Combinator, Techstars, some big accelerators outside of the UT campus. It really is a launch point from getting students off campus into the startup world externally. Some of the big names that you've probably heard of or Favor came through SEAL. and some other ones. Good Apple is a really big one too that came through a couple years ago. So some amazing companies have come through over the last 15 years. We've now had over 400 SEAL alumni and over 500 hours of mentorship through the SEAL program. Super proud to be my first year running SEAL. So in the past it's been the same program leaders, and this is my first time this year running the program. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Volunteering to run the program, I will add. Okay, so let's talk about the team. So I actually don't work for the Launchpad. I'm just up here representing, but this is the Launchpad team. Fantastic folks. So we have Nina Ho, executive directors in the back. Shannon as well, who was in the front. You probably saw her when you got your name tag. Diego Rubio is the program manager. And then Lauren is our development director. Sorry. My name is Barrett. I am the program manager for SEAL this summer, and super excited to run it. It was a ton of fun. And then huge shout out to Vishal. He's over there. Woo, Vishal, who is the master tech organizer behind the scenes, who's made everything happen over the last 9 weeks. So I don't want to talk your ears off too much. I'm going to go into the program just a little bit, and then we'll kick off our first pitch. So how we started 9 weeks ago, we had our kickoff event where students came in, all of our teams came in, and they did their pre-program pitch for a group of people. They went through 9 weeks of workshops, Monday, Wednesday, 2 hours each day. So this was a pretty hefty time commitment for the summer. They had mentorship along the way. And then they're here at Decision Day to announce their go, no-go, or pivot decisions. Throughout that program, some of the workshops that they went through are mentors and advisors, unit economics, dynamics of co-founders and how to run a team, how to hire, how to acquire customers, navigating the VC world, how to fundraise, how to storytell, how to pitch, etc. So they went through a lot of different topics over the last 9 weeks. And the goal today is for them to decide, do they want to continue with this venture? Are they planning to take it off campus and into the real world? Do they want to pivot? Did they learn some really important information over the last 9 weeks that helps them understand, okay, we have something here, our venture is viable, but we need to introduce this new concept or change something that from our original hypothesis? Or are we going to shut it down because actually we learned it's not viable, and that's okay, that's equally celebrated through the SEAL program. We want students to not waste time on things that don't have viability, because that helps them accelerate to the next idea faster. So you should hear all of their decisions today. Special thanks to our speakers and mentors. We have some in the room tonight, so thank you so much if you were a speaker or a mentor throughout this program. Your time is super valuable, and it helps make events like this happen and makes our no-go decisions and go decisions happen for SEAL. Okay, enough of me. We have our first pitch. So I'm going to welcome to the stage Longhorn Life Sciences. Big round of applause. And I forgot to mention, there's no Q&A after each pitch, so they're just going to go through their pitch, and we'll invite the next group up. However, during the networking portion, we encourage you to ask any questions, so keep track of questions, or if you have connections for them throughout the pitches, and then the networking time is the best time to address each company with that. Cool. All right, thanks, guys.
Testing my mouth. 1, 2, 1, 2. Hi, all. Okay, we ready? Sweet. We're Longhorn Life Sciences. My name is James. With me is Miles. Today we're going to be talking about the infection detective and how we're improving patient outcomes and experiences through remote wound monitoring. Before we jump in and meet the patient, I just want to warn you that on the next slide is a graphic medical image, so be prepared for that. Today we start with the story of Ashley. Ashley's a retired clinician. She underwent breast with lumpectomy and was given written and oral instructions from her doctor after surgery on how to pay attention for redness and signs of infection and how to report that if she did notice this at home. When she was discharged from the hospital and started to notice redness, she didn't contact her doctor. She Googled red breasts, not even like red breasts after surgery, and didn't find any useful information. 2 weeks later, in her post-op visit, an infection was diagnosed. And for Ashley, she had to stop her radiation treatment, which was a setback for her healing, but was able to get back on a path to healing with oral antibiotics. For a lot of patients, isn't this case as good as hers, but they actually get readmitted to the hospital at a huge incurred cost to the hospital. And so we asked, what if we could have detected this infection at home for Ashley? And the problem is actually more common than you might think. In the time that I've talked about Ashley, there's already been about 13 SSIs in the US alone. Other pain points are that clinicians are having to rely on reporting based on the patient actually correctly identifying their infection and then making the decision when to effectively communicate that to their doctor, which is a leaky pipeline. Also, the stakes are high. With Ashley, her cancer treatment was delayed, which is not a great outcome for her. Hospitals are actually financially penalized as well when they have these rehospitalization events. And lastly, this post-operative management of surgical site infections is actually a huge clinical workload cost to the institutions themselves. Also, to jump more in on the problem, it's expensive, so about $3.2 billion annually is what it costs the US healthcare system, at an average cost per patient of about $21,000. Our solution is the infection detective. It's a microneedle bandage that will monitor for post-operative changes in pH and temperature at the wound. At the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see some of our prototyping needles that kind of show the device at the bottom layer. By doing this, what we're going to do is enable early and objective detection of surgical site infections while the patient's at home. And so for Ashley, she'll be able to have this detecting the pH and temperature changes for her. And our value proposition is that we'll reduce costs associated with SSIs by enabling earlier intervention, de-escalating costly intensive care, and increasing hospital system throughput. A little bit more granular in the design. So there's 3 layers to this device. The bottom layer is a porous polylactic acid microneedle scaffold. It's made from PLA, which is a biocompatible polymer that is pre-approved by the FDA. It's a natural choice. It decomposes into lactic acid in your body, so it's not an issue there. This is directly in contact with the interstitial fluid and is pulling fluid from beneath the skin and routing it into the assay chamber shown in the middle of this layer, the microfluidic passive flow system. Once the fluid hits the middle assay chamber, it's measured for its electrochemical properties using the SONS-EC inductive sensor array. And this is all protected through a UT Austin provisional patent that we filed in March, which we were pretty excited about. In terms of the use case, this is all collapsed and embedded in a waterproof surgical bandage. This is applied by the doctor at the site of the wound post-operation. The patient goes home, and real-time data is being transmitted to the doctor. It's being aggregated and classified by machine learning algorithm into a color-coded format and relayed to the doctor to an AHR integrated smartphone app or tablet app that they can look at. And what it will look like for the doctor is, you can imagine they would see like a green icon that says everything's good. We have a baseline condition here at the wound. If things progress, you might see a yellow icon showing that there's inflammation, nothing to worry about yet. But if these pH and temperature changes persist further, you'd get a red icon saying that there's an infection risk. And a key point here is that this isn't meant to be a diagnostic unto itself. It's meant to be more of a diagnostic assistant to help doctors intervene meaningfully in the patient's healing so that they can prevent the worst outcomes, such as rehospitalization. With that, I'll pass to Miles, and he'll talk to you about the market.
Yeah, thanks, James. So our strategy as a business is to target the breast surgery market first. The reason for this is that we have a close team connection with MD Anderson's Department of Breast Surgical Oncology. So we have a great patient population to test out the device, doctors that are willing to participate in trials. But more importantly, you can see the SSI rate for breast surgery ranges anywhere from 4 to 19%. This is pretty high. Typically, general surgery is around 2 or 3%, so it is a more severe problem in this population. Next, we'll expand to the broader plastic surgery market. It's a $4 billion market in the US. And a lot of the patients there's a lot of overlap between these two markets because a lot of the patients that have breast surgery also require reconstructive plastic surgery. You'll note that our strategy here is to further segment this market by focusing on high-risk patients, so patients with comorbidities like diabetes and obesity that impact their risk for SSI, and specifically a severe SSI. Finally, we'll expand to the much broader global surgery market, $56 billion per year, as we feel our device is applicable to any superficial laceration or incision. As far as the competitive landscape, so we have identified a few competitors broken up into a couple different categories here. So first we have standard adhesives like Tegaderm and Dermabond. These work well to close the wound, but provide no way to detect the infection. There's also some newer wound care devices, such as Bravino's Wound Vac. This may help to reduce the frequency of infection, but again, has no way to improve the detection or improve that communication between patient and provider. And furthermore, our price point of $60 a patch compares favorably with these devices. Lastly, we have some pre-market smart bandages, including one out of Stanford. These can detect the infection and improve communication between patient and provider, but they're limited to only working with open chronic wounds. So our device pulls away because our microneedle technology allows us to pull fluid from beneath the skin, which makes us applicable to 6.5 times more surgical use cases, including any superficial laceration or incision. Our go-to-market strategy is a two-pronged approach in which first we will target low-volume direct sales by leveraging physician champions in our network, such as those at MD Anderson, to target MD Anderson as well as some private breast and plastic surgical practices. The idea here is not necessarily to make a profit, but really to get people to try out our device through pilot studies, generate more data so that we can improve our machine learning analytics and get some traction in the market. Next, our goal is to partner with existing wound care devices, such as potentially Bravino Wound Vac. And the idea here is that we can improve their devices by giving them a way to detect the infection, right? So they can reduce the infection, but we can detect it. So together now we can leverage their existing sales, reimbursement, distribution infrastructure, which will ease our adoption to the market and allow us to scale by targeting larger surgical practices with a specific focus on high-risk patients in socioeconomically disadvantaged regions. Quick overview of our team. I'm the CEO. I just graduated from UT with my PhD a couple weeks ago, so I'll be staying on board with LLS, specifically driving the fundraising and business development legs of it. James with me is a PhD candidate in physics. He's really leading the prototyping, along with a couple student researchers that we have on the team. We also have Scott Alpard, who's a chief business officer at MD Anderson, and he's an established entrepreneur. He has a great network that he sort of plugged us into, as well as Dr. Christina Cheka, who's our clinical expert. She's a breast surgeon at MD Anderson, and she's going to help out when it comes time to do clinical trials. We also have a great board of advisors. This includes surgical department chairs at UT and Stanford, administrators in entrepreneurship roles, technical experts to help with prototyping, and a few contacts in UT Austin's Discovery to Impact office to help with IP development, patent filing. As far as our traction and timeline to date, so we were incorporated as a Delaware C Corp about 2 years ago, 2021. Since then, we've been awarded $123,000 of totally non-dilutive funding through a mix of grants and pitch competitions. We filed our provisional patent recently with UT, as James mentioned. And lastly, we've conducted about 80 customer discovery interviews to date. These are with doctors, nurses, patients, and hospital purchasing agents. We've learned a lot from these. We've gotten some patient insights on how to improve the device. We've gotten to validate our value proposition as far as how we'd actually sell these to the hospitals. And we've made relationships with physician champions, which will be important when it comes time to start testing it out. Our decision for Seal, so we've made a couple revisions to primarily our technology development and go-to-market strategy, just due to the fact that I'm leaving UT, as well as some insights that we've gained from Seal and some other programs at UT. So prototyping, which James will lead, our big focus here is to really identify and de-risk the greatest technical hurdles, which for us is the microfluidic flow system and the actual data telemetry between the patch and the smartphone. So we're hiring people to help out with that. And the goal here is to leverage our existing data as well as generate new data to secure some more non-dilutive grant funding, such as an SBIR, and really set us up to go raise money from investors at the end of next year. As far as go-to-market, so as I mentioned, we want to identify some predicate devices, which will ease that pathway through the FDA 510K program, as well as potentially identify synergistic devices such as Bravino's Wound Vac, which we can partner with to improve their device and also ease our own adoption. A couple asks that we have here. We are looking to make some hires. If you know of anyone, we'd like to hire an engineer with some microfluidic fabrication experience to help out on the prototyping side of things, as well as an analyst with some market research and financial modeling experience to help out with the sort of revisions that we're making to our financials and go-to-market strategy. And lastly, quickly, just our road ahead. So as I mentioned, our goal in the next year is to seek non-dilutive funding, followed by some dilutive funding, seed and Series A. We'd like to complete the prototype in the next year, which will also include the software app. Then, do what we need to get through the FDA as far as preclinical, clinical trials, biometric data compliance, to get through on the 510K path, and then go to market in early 2026. Thank you.
Great job, you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Excellent job. Okay, for our next pitch, we're going to invite Orsi to the stage. Big round of applause.
Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Zahaib, and I'm the founder of Orsi, and really excited to be here today. So at Orsi, we help you remember what you watch and listen to. So just a bit of context. So the way we consume information has rapidly been changing in the digital age. You can think of, across every generation, people are spending less time reading books and watching TV and more time online consuming digital content. And video platforms are now increasingly becoming the go-to resource to gather ideas, improve your skills, and to learn about the world. You can think about watching videos online, podcasts, lectures. All these videos are actually really good sources of information, and they help you learn different skills and learn about the world. Just a bit of stats. So in 2019, the average American actually spends close to 2 hours of their day consuming digital content online, and that number is expected to increase to over 3 hours of their day. So 3 hours of your day is spent actually consuming all this information. But that raises the question, how much of that content you consume can you actually remember and actually make use of? So an interesting stat that YouTube did a survey of their users, and they found that 86% actually, on a daily basis, have learned something new from YouTube. But it raises the question, you're consuming all this useful information, you're getting all these skills, but if you don't take note of it, how long does that actually, can you remember that and make use of that stuff? So the problem that we're looking to tackle is that there's actually a lot of useful information out there, but in order for you to actually engage with that content and maybe remember it, it's unintuitive to actually remember those kind of information. In terms of, you can compare that to something like a book, in where you can add maybe a sticky note in that chapter, and you can go back and reference that. Something like that is actually unintuitive for video. And what's more, that because of the nature of videos, even after you watch the video, it's actually difficult to maybe recall the source of that information. So just to compare the difference between video content and maybe books content, unlike books, where you can maybe add a sticky note into the chapter, once you finish the book, you can go and reference those key moments. Something like that doesn't really exist for video. But I think that's an untapped potential because there's actually really important information out there. And plus, with video, the interesting thing is that people can actually get their content out there a lot faster. You can think of podcasts. Instead of a person having to write a book that might take months to publish, they can just make a video and spend maybe 30 minutes talking about their ideas and get their ideas out there. So I thought there was an untapped potential in this space that something like a sticky notes doesn't apply for video, so there was an opportunity to maybe build one. So that's where Orsi comes in, and Orsi is a platform for video watchers who struggle to remember the important moments they care about. So what we do is we help users create a personal library of these interesting moments that they can then engage with and then search through. And because what differentiates us is that we're actually focused on the context of the idea. So we can look at what's being spoken at that time and actually take away a lot of the effort that goes into having to label and write your own things. We can learn about the users and basically categorize and make that process as seamless as possible. So what the solution is that because we're looking at the context, we can actually connect your ideas together. So if you imagine you're watching videos across multiple sources, maybe you're looking at a biology video from one creator, and you want to save a moment, and then you go to another video and watch another thing, we can actually connect those ideas and bucket them together, so then you can go and reference them and have a folder of all these ideas you save. And we're trying to make an easy-to-use platform to try and make this process as seamless as possible, and also make it personal. And I'll run through a demo that might do a better job of showing how it works. So this is the Chrome extension that works with the YouTube currently. So this is just showing how it works. You can simply go download the Chrome extension, and once the Chrome extension is saved to your browser, when you navigate to a YouTube, the cool thing is the button is available right in the platform itself, and simply with the click of the button, it extracts the speech at what's being spoken at that time, and it gives you a place where you can add an idea at that specific time. So this is a moment where you can reflect and add the idea that you're having at the time of watching the video, which then you can go back and reference later. So with the click of that button, you can see it gets added to my personal library. And with our platform right now, when you log in, that moment gets added right there. And with the click of, you click the cell, it simply goes directly to the part of the video where you saved that moment. And it also has the speech, and you can then view that moment and share it with others. You can see I saved a bunch of moments here. And so even going back and looking, what did I learn today? What did I learn the last week? Because you're just going to forget that. So having that reference point is really useful to go through that process. So in terms of how the product works, it's basically three parts. So there's a personal library that we create for each individual user. There's a way to add these specific moments. We really wanted to focus on making that process as seamless as possible with a simple button. I had demoed the desktop version, but I'm currently working on a mobile version and a way to support on TV. So with the press a button on your phone, you can save a part you're watching on the TV, and maybe expanding to different platforms such as Spotify or other video platform providers. In terms of the market, so the subsection that I'm targeting first is the note-taking management section, and also YouTube specifically in terms of that, because it's the most widely used video platform at the moment. And we think we can roughly reach about 200 million users just in the US alone for this use case, and to target both video watchers and learners as the initial test. In terms of competition, it is kind of a new product. There are other people in the space, but there's no one really tackling this for video. They're mainly focused on audio and saving the moment, and none of them actually look at the context of the speech at that time. So you could save, a label, but that's not as useful as maybe the conversation that's being spoken to at that time. And this is an easy-to-use thing. We're focusing nichely on video, and to be able to recommend things that each individual user is saving. In terms of our business model, so we have that demo I showed you is actually free to use completely. You can go online and use it right now. That's our freemium tier. And as we expand and grow our user base through customer interviews, we're looking to expand into a paid tier for $4.99. We also have a section for promoted content. So the interesting thing about this is that you can imagine getting recommendations based solely on what you're saving. So you might go on YouTube and watch 20 different videos for a bunch of different topics, but only save one or two things. And so those are the things that you actually think are important, and we think we can promote content specifically for those specific moments. And creator partnerships is another platform. Another way that we can monetize this is basically through selling that data back to the creators of that this is interesting for them, and that can be useful. In terms of our growth strategy, we want to grow organically through our user base, simply through word of mouth, getting a strong community of people interested in tagging all these moments together, focus marketing through the creators, basically going through a creator and say, hey, this platform is available to your consumers. They can tag a bunch of things, and to continue and iterate the product. In terms of the team, it's just me. I'm the founder, CEO, but I'm technical. I did build the demo that I demoed today, and I do have some experience. I worked at a startup here in Austin, actually, on their deep NLP team, where I got much of the ideas from today, and I did bootstrap it based on a project that I built for my undergraduate dissertation. So these are some of the use cases that our users have been using the product for. One is to reinforce an idea. So for example, if you're watching something today, if you don't save it, if you do save it, just having to look back at that in the night, you can get that sense of, oh, I learned about this, or I had that saved. So that is actually a very useful thing. You can imagine that being expanded to like a week or month later. You're just going to forget those things, so having that reference point is actually really useful. People have been using it to create new content, so to create a blog post, they can synthesize a bunch of different ideas that they're gathering across, and to learn new skills. So in a 20-minute video, maybe there's a part that you think is specifically useful, for example, in music or cooking or a news article, you can save that and have that as a reference point. You can join the community today. We're available online at orc.org. If you simply scan that barcode, because we're early, we're trying to get as much feedback as possible. So for our first users, we're offering 3 months off our paid features, whatever is built completely for free, and as we continue to build and iterate on the product. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, so next up to the stage, we have Tano Pharmaceuticals. So big round of applause for Tano.
You want this?
Yeah, I'll run it. All right, testing. All right, let's do this.
Let's do it.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sean Finney,
I'm Branson Berger.
and we're excited today to bring you Tano Pharmaceuticals, where we are building a new natural first aid product based on the healing powers of banana sap. So banana sap might sound like a weird thing. This story started 25 years ago for me when I was a kid in Brazil. That picture that you see on the screen behind me is me as a kid. And I lived down there for about 2 years, and while we were there, we were on vacation off the coast at a small barrier island 4 hours away from a hospital, playing in the waves, and I got raked along a reef by a wave, and it mangled my leg from my knee to my ankle. So I came back in, bleeding profusely on the beach, and my dad wanted to put a tourniquet on it, which 3 or 4 hours back to the hospital at 9 years old would not have ended well. But one of the locals stepped in, cut the stem out of a banana tree, squeezed the sap on my leg, and it stopped the bleeding almost instantly. And so that day, the banana sap likely saved my leg, and I've been obsessed with it ever since. And so as I looked into this more, though, I realized this is not a new thing. This has been known by native cultures for years and years, such as the Wasera people in Papua New Guinea that have been using this for thousands of years for its medicinal properties. It just has never been commercialized, and here at Tano, we're trying to change that.
In that photo on the left-hand side of the screen, that's me leading a platoon of Marines overseas to Southeast Asia and the Middle East on deployment. And we were on that deployment, I had a medical team embedded with my platoon. And what the medics told us is, look, there's a product in your first aid kit called QuickLot. That's a chemical-based product that you should not use unless you assess you're in a life-threatening situation due to the harmful secondary side effects of thermal burning. So imagine being under duress and being told, hey, if you're bleeding really bad, make sure it's bad enough to use this thing. Otherwise, it might not be worth it. Secondly, standard infantry loadout is about 100 pounds. And so anytime we can save space and weight in our packs, we will. There's about 20 million Americans who participate in high-risk outdoor activities every year who go through this same problem. Should I carry heavy, bulky gear and be able to handle any kind of high-risk situation that I run into? Or should I lighten the load and accept additional risk?
So our solution to that is Tano. Right, so meet Tano. This is the ruck-worthy choice. This is what we want people putting in their bags with them and bringing with them. What you see there are 3 products that we're planning to offer. One is an impregnated bandage, an ointment, and then a spray to kind of cover the different modalities of treatment. And these products are going to be multi-purpose. They stop bleeding, disinfect, accelerate healing. It's going to use banana sap as the active ingredient, which is currently a waste product. And it's going to effectively reduce bleeding time by 91%, wound closure time, and wound healing time, right? On the waste product piece, you may not know this, but banana trees only ever fruit once. So when they fruit, they harvest the fruit, and then that stalk is chopped down and thrown away. And that's on the order of 80 million metric tons globally that goes to waste, and we're going to repurpose that into our active ingredient. So to show you the value of this, right? You go on a camping trip, and the top is kind of your loadout that you take with you if you want to be prepared, right? Whether you're in the car or you're on a trip, that's what you'll take with you. What we're proposing is that with one single Tano product, you can cover all of those aspects in one thing for lower cost, lower size, lower weight, right? Becoming the all-in-one solution for remote adventures. So how does it work, right? This almost sounds too good to be true. But the banana sap, when it interacts with the blood, it interacts with some proteins in the blood serum, and it causes those to come out of solution and basically create like a matrix at the wound site. At the same time, there's a vasoconstrictive effect that's going on, so you're reducing the blood flow and also catching that blood as it's coming out, and it creates a really powerful effect. Like in the study out of Ghana, where the bleeding time was reduced by 91% when they used banana sap, dropped it to 16 seconds of bleeding. It was also used on diabetic ulcers, which are notoriously difficult to heal. And even over the best things on the market at the time, it improved the wound healing time by 23%. So as I said, my name's Sean Finney, co-founder of Tano. I'm currently an MBA candidate at UT McCombs, where I met Branson. Before McCombs, I was a civil engineer corps officer in the United States Navy for 6.5 years, and then I worked at Tesla as a senior project manager for 2 years. In my personal life, I'm married, have 3 kids, NOL certified, and I love being outside, mountain biking, trekking, exploring.
Hey guys, I'm Branson, also McCombs MBA candidate. I was an infantry officer for 5 years prior to coming to McCombs. Additionally, since being here, I've been a startup consultant, and I've also done some impact investing, so I've done early stage due diligence packages on startups. Additionally, combat medic certified, and free time, love ultra marathons, trekking, and rock climbing. We also got a team of 4 advisors. We have 2 scientific advisors on our team, Professor Guy Tan at the University of Hawaii, and then also Professor Michael Crowley here at the University of Texas. Between the 2 of them, they have a combined 50+ years of pharmaceutical experience, and they've also received a healthy bit of NIH funding, and they have a number of patents between the 2 of them. We have 2 business advisors, Professor John Doggett. He's a professor of entrepreneurship here at UT. And then we also have Ron Clark. He owns his own consulting practice and specializes in getting early stage startups with innovative technology, DoD funding. For the go-to-market strategy, our early adopters are going to be military and veterans who are also extreme outdoor enthusiasts. The reason being, 1, that's who Sean and I are, and we know those people, and we have a good network within that community. Number 2, they're also extremely willing to try new products. And then number 3, if they like the product, they will virally spread that amongst their community. Accessing that community will allow us to kind of funnel through the rest of that outdoor market. And then simultaneously, if you look over at that big $15 billion bubble, we're going to be going after the federal contracts and also the U.S. clinical market through that grant funding. What I want to point out in this slide is that it's an extremely fractured market, so it's ripe for penetration. The leading brand of first aid products, Neosporin, only has 11% of the market share. Additionally, for the competitive landscape, on the left-hand side of the screen, that's going to be all the chemical-based products. QuickClot being the one I mentioned earlier. That's the one that I had in the military that I definitely never used. And then on the right-hand side of the screen, you have the more natural-based products. And then in the upper right-hand quadrant, you see Tano, that's us. The reason that we are the top competitor here is that we're multimodal and we're all natural. And we've talked to our future customers. We've done about 100 customer interviews to date at this point, and we've learned 3 things from talking to our early adopters and our beachhead communities. And what we learned is, first, they're really dissatisfied with the current offerings on the market. The second thing is 2 products are equally efficacious. The natural product will win and be bought every day of the week. And the last thing is they really want lightweight, versatile products because it really sucks carrying a lot of stuff for a lot of miles. For our go-to-market strategy, I know there's a lot on here, but I kind of just want to give you guys the zoomed out version. And so we have a direct-to-consumer strategy. We're going to start by selling on our website and also selling locally in different fitness studios like yoga studios and also some of the more boutique type pharmacy locations. Once we have good sales velocity there, we're going to approach REI and get retail distribution regionally, which is going to give us access to 16 stores, and then we're going to roll out nationally in various outdoor retailers. Additionally, we're going to give you those 3 product offerings Sean talked about, and then once we go national, expand the product offering to a first aid kit.
And from the federal side of that, we're also going to be pursuing those federal contracts, mainly through SBIR STTRs, with the non-dilutive funding that will then flow into contracts in the future and lead us to that military exchange distribution. So from a development timeline, this is to be able to make the claims that we want to make. We need to go through the FDA. So this is what we're expecting from a timeline on the FDA 510K submission. Boiled down what it is, total duration is going to be 15 to 30 months with a total cost of $1.5 million plus to get that product through the door as an FDA-approved product. Now, over this summer, we've done a lot of work on this, and we've really dug into everything. And the 2 main things that we found that we kind of want to pivot on based on this summer is, number one, like I just said, the FDA process is lengthy and it's costly. But there is a route for us to go initially, a non-FDA approved product, and reduce our claims. And so that's where we're going to pivot slightly, is to do that in tandem and to get a product out on the market to those early adopters as quickly as possible with as little money so we can start to iterate and really refine our product down. The next thing that we realized is that our early adopters are going to be great at using the product and helping us iterate, but the sales volume in that outdoor community is not as high as we wanted it to be. And so one of the things that we came across this summer, though, was the parent community. Traveling, I spoke with a bunch of fellow parents. I'm a parent myself, and I actually had multiple conversations. 5 different sets of parents asked me if I had the product ready that they could use on their kids once I told them what I was doing. And so as I dug into that more and more, we realized that there's an unserved market there. There's a lot of parents that are very focused about what they're putting on their kids' skin. They want it to be natural. They want it to work well. Right? And previously, they've had to choose between natural and working well. But with our product, they wouldn't have to. And so right now, we are doing a pivot in our market to focus more on the beachhead of parents, especially in Austin, as a very natural-focused outdoor community. And then we're going to flow more into the larger parent market while still pursuing the FDA approval and government contracts down the line. So to close it up, right, our decision here is we are going to go. We're going to go with the pivot. We're going to keep moving forward and keep pursuing this. Our asks today are, because we are shifting markets, right, we really would love any connections to people in the kind of the parent target market, parent groups, to really dive into that. I have the personal experience, but any additional leads we can get in that space would be outstanding. But if you're energized by our vision of a natural, effective first aid product and want to get involved, we'd love to chat with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, guys.
Excellent job, you guys. Our second pivot of the day, so amazing. So next we have ILUI up to the stage. Woo, Jackson, come on up. Big round of applause. And this is number 4 of 8 today, so we're about halfway through.
All right. This reminds me of my boy band days. Look it up, it's actually true. I don't know why I said that. All right. Hey, I'm Jackson Blacklock. This is my company, ILUI. And this is my family. All right, these are my kiddos on the bottom. And they are as unique as they come. But hidden behind those smiles, we've got a little bit of anxiety. We've got some attention difficulties. We even have some good old-fashioned sad days, as I'm sure some of you experienced yourselves. And throughout the pandemic, things got a little bit worse. But things got a little bit more real also. See, in our close proximity, we noticed that the physical connection that we had improved things. We learned the value of a hug. We learned the value of holding hands. So my family, we do this thing. It's where we hold each other's hand and then we squeeze it 4 times. It stands for I love you infinity. and it's the way that we communicate our love and support to one another without words. So this need for physical connection runs really deep. It's my resident expert, my wife. She's a double board certified pediatric neuropsychologist, which basically means she is an expert on kiddos like my kiddos. She says that physical touch releases two neurotransmitters, dopamine and serotonin. And these guys are responsible for reducing anxiety and relieving stress, as well as boosting your mood, all of which we can improve. All right, so then the pandemic ended, right? That physical proximity, that closeness, was then exchanged for Zoom calls, for virtual school, anything that wasn't necessarily close anymore. So my wife and I started thinking, we're like, okay, well, how can we then communicate that touch that we found out that works so well, even from a distance? So what we hypothesized was a device that allows us to build a custom touch, similar to my family's I Love You Infinity squeeze pattern. And then kiddos could replay that touch to focus and to get that dopamine hit. And then also to send and receive touch. And that's it, right? Simple idea, but we kind of feel like it's a pretty big idea, because what we're proposing is quite literally sending and receiving love. All right, so here she is. We call her Lily. Lily fits in the palm of your hand, and you can manipulate her by squeezing or shaking. That sounded kind of weird. Squeezing, shaking, or tapping the device. And she's small enough that you can fit Lily into a lovey. You can attach it to a keychain or a lanyard. We've even talked about building some different cases, kind of an old school pager case, maybe a pocket watch. A lot of people really wanted to put Lily into a stress ball. So that's a double whammy of stress relief right there. So we've talked about our use case for alleviating anxiety, right? But we wanted to find out if there were other use cases for a touch-only haptic device. So we took Lily to Project Lead the Way, which is a STEAM program at small middle school. And we asked a group of 8th grade engineers to brainstorm different use cases for a touch-only device. And these are some of the cool things that they came up with. We'd like Lily to be a metronome for music practice. As a musician from my boy band days, totally use it. We also talked about building Morse code into the device so they can privately talk to one another in class, especially during a test. Teacher was super thrilled about that one. They talked about making it a running tempo cadence tracker to help with tempo runs at cross-country meets. And a lot of interest was around touch-only games. Think of like Tamagotchi or Simon Says. So like an interesting thing came from this. With that frame of just touch only, just haptics, these kids came up with some surprisingly creative solutions with our tool. And if you guys have any other cool ideas, talk to me after the presentation. All right, so let's go back to the initial use case of anxiety, and let's see what's out there. All right, so we've got our quadrant here: static, customizable, visual, tactile. On the bottom left, you've got all of your fidget devices, right? Those are very visual. You've got to look at them to use them. Those are your fidget spinners, your poppets. My kid has all of them. And on the top right, now we've got your wiggle cushions and weighted blankets. These are actually quite effective in a classroom setting, but they're also pretty big and bulky. And then on the bottom right, that's where you've got your smartphones and smartwatches. There are a lot of apps that focus on executive functioning. Very useful, but not really allowed in a classroom setting. So that's where we feel Lily can live and really show a tactile and customizable device that is discrete. All right, so let's review. We've got a touch-only device that's less distracting than screens. It's built with the Internet of Things. We've got a lot of sensors in Lily. So with that connection comes possibilities. Think about inputting machine learning into it. Maybe we can build some better prescriptive haptic therapies. It's also very customizable. So our device grows with the user. You can record any sensation into it. Think about jingling coins in your pocket, clicking a ballpoint pen, even somebody's voice can be recorded into haptics and replayed. Because really, at the end of it, haptics are just waveforms played on a buzzy thing. And we're currently working on filing provisional patents for a couple of the technologies in Lily. Okay, so our purpose is for kids with anxiety, so they can replay familiar and meaningful sensations. And we'd love to start looking into that two-way communication device of touch only if they're paired together, and eventually exploring those different markets, into music, into sports, and possibly into gaming with VR, and maybe a mobile haptic connection. So how are we getting the word out? Quite literally, we are focusing on one kid, one parent, one teacher at a time. Very high touch. Because we want to build meaning very discreetly in our local community. And next, we have partners with an extensive network of mental health care providers in Austin and around the nation. And eventually, we'd love to see Lily in local retail stores. And when the time comes, we do have extensive work with e-commerce and direct-to-consumer sites. All right, so that's us again. That's my wife. She's a double board-certified pediatric neuropsychologist and an expert on kiddos with developmental disabilities. And that's me. I'm Jackson. I'm working on my double horn status, a not-so-recent BBA graduate, and a current MBA student. So I'd like to end the presentation with how we began. We built this device because it helps my daughter, right? And so we think if it helps one person, maybe it can help another, and another after that. So really, it doesn't take a lot of time, it doesn't take a lot of money to start helping. You just need to start right now with what you have. And with that, where to go? Hook Martin.
Awesome job, Jackson. Thank you so much. All right, next to the stage, we have Cacao Tax. Big round of applause. I should have prepared some jokes for the in-between.
Hello, hello. It's good? Perfect. Great. Hi, how are you? My name is Jose Maria Irigoyen. I will be presenting Cacao Tax. So let me first tell you about how Cacao Tax started. So I'm a Mexican international, and if you know anything about internationals, we love to do our shopping in the United States. The United States has a unique offering of inventory and price that cannot be rivaled anywhere in the world. Or, I don't know if anywhere in the world, but not for a lot of countries, so we love to come to the US. There are two circumstances. For example, all the things that I'm wearing, all the clothes that I'm wearing, all the electronics that I own, not just myself, but my family and my friends. Whenever we have an opportunity to come to the United States, we buy them because of the inventory and because of the price. However, there are two circumstances that are currently not being addressed or addressed properly, and we want to solve. And the first thing is, there's an increasing tendency to buy everything online. So us internationals, when we want to buy online in the United States, we face the problem of where do we ship the products that we want to buy. We have to have a friend that has a house here, or an address, or a hotel, or the Airbnb has to receive our packages, and that poses some trouble. Additionally, if you're familiar or you're traveled international, if you're familiar with the duty-free process, us internationals have a specific benefit that nobody else has, which is
whenever you shop internationally and you cross a border, whatever you take with you, you're entitled to receive all your sales tax back or not pay it. It's different tax procedures, but the basic idea of the process is whenever you take a merchandise out of the country, you're not supposed to pay sales tax. However, a lot of international tourists do, and that's what we want to solve. So to put it a little bit more simply in an image, this is the problem that Cacao Tax wants to solve right now. What we want to do is offer the current inventory or the inventory offering that is possible in the United States. We want to allow it to be made online and include it in a very seamless and convenient process that allows international travelers to have a duty-free discount. That is what Cacao Tax wants to do. As mentioned, duty-free, all of the inventory, and do it very conveniently. What is the solution that we propose? So the way internationals, or we internationals do our shopping is, the first thing we have is we have the dates. So we set a date when we travel to the United States, and then we try to fit everything that we want to do in our trip, and it depends on the quality or the nature of the trip, but we always find a day so that we can do our shopping in that specific day. What we propose to do is internationals will be able to go online, set the dates of their international traveler, and then shop for all of the inventory offered in the United States very simply so that they do all of their shopping online, so that when they come to the US, we have everything prepared for them very neatly in a box, and we can deliver to that, or sorry, deliver all the merchandise to these international travelers. And this is the key moment where we can do the duty-free discount. The way the duty-free discount does not currently work is because it's filled with obstacles, paperwork, and basically regulatory hurdles that it's very difficult to get through. What we propose to do is when you previously bought all of your merchandise for your trip of the United States, when you come and pick it up, you just sign off on the package. And that signing off is sufficient to get all of your taxes back on all of the items that you wanted to buy in the United States. We propose to do this in a two-phase solution, which is you will be able to shop on our site. So it's a regular marketplace where brands will be able to offer all their products and then do a regular checkout. Those products will be shipped to the pickup point, and the tourist will be able to pick up the merchandise in the pickup point. Or we also found out that it's very important for international travelers to verify the origin of their merchandise that they're buying. So it's very important for a lot of shoppers to actually buy the products that they want from the manufacturer or the brand. For this segment of the population, we propose a checkout button or a button at the end of the checkout, which is basically you go through the whole process, and then at the end, instead of doing the regular checkout, you do the Cacao Tax checkout, which allows you to do the shipping to the pickup spot and get your taxes back. These solutions obviously does not require us to have an inventory offering, and we would not be paying for the shipping cost because it's regular shipping business as usual with the brands. This is the prototype that we built. So currently you can go to Amazon, find the product that you want, then you can take that link, put it in Cacao Tax, and then automatically Cacao Tax updates the inventory offering, and you're able to buy it through Cacao Tax. This way you can go and pick it up and then just get your taxes back. What is the size of this market? The size of international shopping being made just in Texas is 1.5 billion. And that 1.5 billion is mostly border shoppers, shoppers also from Mexico, but international travelers as well. This is a breakdown of that market. As you can see, there are 4 main towns, El Paso, McAllen, Laredo, and Bronzeville, but the bulk of the international shoppers in the border are located in El Paso. And the items that are bought are just too big and too varied to handle. This is a very small description of the items that there are, but there are some profiles, some items, and then there are some shops that offer them. It's a big offering. What we're proposing through our initial prototype is to be able to, for example, what we currently have, we are able to offer all of the Amazon inventory duty-free. If we do this for Best Buy as well, then we take a big chunk out of this, and this allows us to start putting our checkout button in all of the other sites, and also onboarding all of the other brands to come into our site. What is the competition in this business? At the far left, you will see 3 types of shops. These are basically duty-free shops. These duty-free shops, even though they include some type of a discount, they're basically liquor stores, because when you go to a duty-free shop, you can only buy, or mostly buy, alcohol and tobacco, but there's no reason that this should be like this. At the top, you can find inventory, it's sales tax refunders, and what they do is, you buy whatever you want, and then you go and do the paperwork with them, but it takes a couple of days, and then you have to sign pen and paper, and it takes about 2 hours just to do the process with them, going to them, going back and forth, and then some of them ask you to come 24 hours later, so it's really not convenient for international travelers. And at the right, there are people who are able to do all of the US inventory and buy them online. It's regular post mail or some mailbox services. However, these services do not allow you to get the duty-free discount. What Cacao Tax wants to do, sorry. Is there a way to go? I think I went through my whole presentation there. Perfect, so that's the competition. What is our revenue model? To start, we will take a percentage of the refunded tax on the items that we develop so that we can start gathering success cases and gathering critical mass on our customers. After doing this, we have to decide on whether we allow for a subscription model. So very frequent travelers will be able to pay a subscription monthly or yearly and then get all of their taxes back. All the items that we sell on our site, we will be able to get a margin off of that, or even a loyalty system, whereby instead of refunding you your cash, we can give you company points. We can increase the amount of company points, and this can allow us to do financial, basically financing the activity of the company while allowing the customers to receive more taxes. What is our go-to-market strategy? It's basically 3 steps. We are in step number 1. We currently have the capacity to operate in El Paso, and we are very close to be able to operate in Austin. So if we offer all of Amazon's and Best Buy inventory in El Paso and Austin, we will be able to gather critical mass and then advance. While doing this, we can develop the checkout process so that you can buy at all of your preferred brand shops and then do the checkout process through Cacao Tax and get your taxes back. And while doing this, we can develop the loyalty points in advance. We can take this statewide, and then Texas has a specific system that allows us to do this easily, but this system is possible to be taken to the whole United States. It's part of the constitutional tax system. What is our team? At the end, you will find Oscar and Scott. They are our customs brokers. Oscar is located in El Paso, and Scott is located in Dallas. Paul Ritter, he is our chief of technology, basically. He has a lot of experience in e-commerce, payments, and basically engineering solutions, and myself, Chema Rigoyen. I'm currently an MBA candidate at the Macomb School of Business, but I have a background in tax consultancy and litigation. So what is our decision? Our decision is to go. Thank you very much.
Great job, Chema. Thank you so much. Second go of the day. Okay, Elena is coming to the stage. She is holding down the fort for women today. Give her a round of applause with Kumtraya.
Just turn it on. Hello? Okay, cool. Oh, I feel like I have it that way. you. Hi, I'm Elena, and I'm here as the founder of Comtria. I want to tell you a story about Zoe. She's a freelance writer who has specialized in SEO, and she's built up a solid client base for herself. She's published to Search Engine Land, Moz, and HubSpot, and from the outside looking in, she's doing pretty good. But she's actually frustrated. She knows that her current business model is unsustainable, and that's mainly because she's paid on a per word, per gig basis. She knows that there has to be a better way. In her words, I frustrate myself because I should absolutely be doing for myself what I'm doing for my clients, and she's not the only one. Every freelance writer that we talked to had the same sentiments. And when you see that they are 74% are experiencing non-payment and up to 60% are doing paycheck to paycheck, you can see why they want a different way. They're looking for a better solution. In the US alone, there are over 70 million freelance writers, and 50 million of them are our market, because 70% are experiencing this problem. The freelance writers, they want to generate a passive income from their content, but they can't because they lack the time and usually the skill to build their own websites and to run them. And if they go with something like Wix, they usually end up with a website that won't perform well on search, mainly due to performance scores. And existing platforms like Medium just don't pay enough. Zoe's ultimate goal is to earn money from her content passively. But she hasn't been able to do so because she hasn't found a solution that checks all the right boxes, until now. We have built a SaaS platform that helps freelance writers showcase their body of work, drives lots of traffic to their content, helps them turn that content into leads, and most importantly, turns their content into an income-generating machine. And all they have to do is write. We literally do everything else. We do the technical search engine optimization, the SEO and social media, marketing, content marketing, paid advertisement, and we're even fine-tuning a GPT-4 model to help them write content that ranks. And our number one goal is to drive traffic to their content as much as possible so we can help them generate as much revenue as possible. And it truly works like a rising tide that lifts all boats. When a writer on our platform succeeds, the entire community does too. And that means more revenue for everyone. And so how do we stack up against our competitors? First, we don't ask our users to grow their own audience. That's pretty hard to do, so we do that for them. We also don't ask readers to pay for the content that they read, and we also promote our users' content on both the inbound and outbound marketing. And for all of that value, we're asking them to pay $9.99 a month, in addition to sharing 30% of the ad revenue that their content generates with us. But in exchange, we're saving them over $100 in keyword research tools, $10 to $100 in social media marketing and management tools, and infinite time and money for all of the content marketing and social media marketing and paid advertising that they don't have to do. And because my co-founder and I are not taking a salary yet, our overhead's pretty low. It's about $200 per month, so we need about 20 customers before we start drawing a profit, but that allows us to bootstrap. And so currently we're in phase 1. I just finished building out the initial features for an early access, limited feature kind of release. Hopefully, maybe by September 15th, we'll have a fully featured release, fingers crossed. And then phase 2 will be where we open up to bloggers, YouTubers, and social media influencers. And so this is basically giving us an idea of what our final solution should look like. Freelance writers are our beachhead, and Blogger Stream is basically our prototype. With that, we're just going to be doing a lot of testing, getting a lot of feedback, and seeing what our final solution should look like. And so for Seal, when I came in, I was thinking we needed a website builder because that was a way to control the monetization of the content for bloggers who would receive free content from freelance writers. We kind of pivoted from that because at the core, they don't need a website builder. Like Forbes and Business Insider, Tech Radar, it's all about the content. So that's what we did. We focused on just the content and just making it super easy for them to write and hit publish, and then we do everything else. And thankfully, I'm not doing this alone. I'm joined by my brother and co-founder, Lance, who has operations experience from his time in the Air Force as an intelligence specialist, and also sales from his time running a sales agency that represented AT&T, was independent. I'm also joined by Wak, who is our founder, or not founder, but our advisor for officially on board. And he came from 40 Acres Founders Program, and he's been awesome. And then also, I want to thank my SEAL mentors, Nina and Heather. Nina's over there. Nina even helped me to fine-tune my pitch, even though she wasn't feeling well, so thank you so much. And Heather has been also awesome as well, so I'm very grateful for them. And so if you haven't guessed it yet, we are definitely a go. The solution we had in mind probably changed every 2 weeks, to the chagrin to my advisor and mentors. But ultimately, we came in as a SEAL wanting to help content creators share the revenue that their content generates. I mean, they're working for word per word. They're getting paid word per word per article. And meanwhile, publishers, online publishers, and I used to be the villain in the story. I was a publisher, and I was getting cheap content, and I was ranking it, and getting money over time. Maybe, well, I didn't run it for 2 or 3 years later, but most publishers can run for content for about 2 or 3 years. That's typically how long it ranks, and then get money from that. But the writer, they got $20 or $50 for the article. So that's really the problem that we're trying to solve. And so thank you so much. I learned a lot from all of the founders here. You guys are building some pretty awesome startups. And as SEAL comes to a close, I hope we can all stay in touch. Thank you.
For Nick coming to the stage.
Test. Can I tilt this? Cool, that'll work. Let me see. Gotta hold my stuff, that'll work. Thanks. Okie dokie. Hi, my name is Nicholas Kaufman, and I'm one of the founders of WildForge. WildForge is an edutainment solution that allows parents to bring balance to their family screen time, and it allows kids the opportunity to explore nature outside and to forge their digital creations from the wild. So today, parents are pretty much inundated with new digital games. There's a CDC statistic that kids on average now spend 114 days per year on screens. Oh.
You were doing great.
All right, great. I think we need to tilt it or put a... Okay. So let me go back. That was the first one. And so today, parents are inundated with digital games. Kids on average spend 114 days a year. I think Back to the Future, Marty McFly wasn't all that off today. So as a parent hearing this or even experiencing this, you might have a few fears that come to mind. Is my child addicted? Are they confident? Are they creative? Am I present enough? And to overcome these fears, as a parent, to overcome these fears, what if there was a way to overcome these fears and to be connected as the hero parent, where we could embrace the digital trends and interests of our kids, not cast them out, but instead balance that with a refocus on nature? What if for your child's next video game, the exploration of nature was a core game component as part of their game loop?
What if they built confidence, explored outside, and got a healthy dose of sunshine, all while finding new creatures and learning about their environment? So instead of saying, get off the video games, you happily said, what have you learned? What have you done? So that solution exists. That is WildForge. So WildForge is a digital game with physical collectibles. You are compelled by a unique story and a cast to explore the natural world around you. From your discoveries in your backyard, you forge your own digital creations and explore the natural world around you. Here, I will show you how it works, pretending I just received my kit from my hero parent. So, we have two components. A simple camera that doesn't break. It's not a phone. It's cheap, and you can give it to your kids. There's multiple collectibles that your kids can take to school, put in their pockets, and share, trade, and own and possess as theirs. Inside these collectibles, their creatures are stored. They get to train them, learn them, and grow with them. So, I'm a child. I just received this. I'm compelled by a unique and creative storyline. I go outside. I explore anywhere. It can be at home, at the park, or in the zoo. Right now, I could open up that box and probably find an interesting spider. Or I don't know what that plant is. I can take a picture of that plant and figure out what it is. So I'll put my creature in here, go outside, take pictures. Let's pretend I took a picture of a roly-poly, a sparrow, and a cactus. I may or may not know all the unique attributes about these creatures, but if I don't, WildForge will tell me. After I take these pictures, I then go back to my parent or my teacher to their base station, which is the WildForge app. I take my creature, and there, my champion is forged. So here, from the pillbug, the sparrow, and the cactus, Mrs. Prickles is created. She has the abilities of the cactus, she can fly like the sparrow, and can roll into a defense ball like the pillbug. Not only that, around my house, I've shown my parents where I've explored that day. I found the pillbug by the tree, the cactus in the backyard, and the sparrow by the, hopefully not too close to the road. So anyways, from there, I can now learn, share, battle, trade, and repeat with all of my friends. So here are a couple of my friends, and in this case, these are actually my nieces and nephews' creations. What do you think animals created Tina or Mr. Blue? You can do this in reverse for thought experiences. So the benefit of the system is it encourages us to go back outside and really learn about the environment around us, and it gives me, as a child, the creative autonomy to create my own creations and have my own system. So, how are we different from the competition? Right here, there's a lot of name brand, known systems you might be familiar with. This chart is huge, but the key takeaway is, of all of these, none of them had yet created digital content from the real world. Instead, like in augmented reality, you're projecting the real world projecting digital creations onto the real world. But in WildForge, our unique advantage comes from putting that creative capability and curiosity back into the hands of the kids. It's allowing us to merge the digital with nature and get a better balance that we think will be healthier for kids and also allow them to be more creative. So with our simple concept, we have many markets. There's group games, citizen science, and collectibles that we can venture into. So far, our go-to-market strategy has been to start with family trials. I have 15 nieces and nephews right now, so I immediately am testing this on them. Right away, you hear if something is dumb. From there, a natural great place for synergy is a zoo. Where, remember in WildForge, you get incentivized to find the rarest and coolest creature. Where can you find a lion other than your backyard? At the zoo. Where can you find a lion in your backyard? At the zoo. Hopefully not in your backyard. So our approach is to start with zoos and then eventually through word of mouth go to direct to consumer. To date, we've self-funded and we're an execution-based company, so really focusing on getting a prototype that works and then trying to get to plausible revenue shortly. How would this work at the zoo? Well, there'd be natural synergies and incentives. Here in this example, a child or a guest has gone through, taken a picture of a tortoise, a lion, a llama, and a parrot, and there Lester is created. Lester now competes in zoo games or competitions, and they're incentivized to come back monthly. This helps the zoo because it provides new ways to engage guests, and it also can support more of the back-end type of operations where our hardware can integrate with heat map technology to track foot traffic, or let's say there's a new exhibit that we really want to steer guests towards. We can offer special incentives where
if you go take a picture of the penguin, you have a more rare wild forge ability, and you're learning new abilities from that penguin. So our market size with this product, as toys and games as a whole, is massive. It's a really strong market. But to take it more realistic, Pokemon Go is kind of the gold standard, close similarity to us, really the reverse of us. But they took close to $700 million home in the first half of 2021. What I'm very excited about is we now have a plausible path to revenue that seems tiny, but it's really, really huge. We're hoping to get $4,000 a month just by participating in the zoo camps this October. We're charging around $40 a kit, hopefully. We're obviously working on that. But if you get 60 kids with one zoo, you can see $4,000 a month. We can quickly amplify and go from new zoos, new camps, new trials. The gold standard, what we'd love to do is become a direct part of the zoo on top. A simple way to think through this is there's 1 million visitors at the zoo per year. So if you just get 5% of that at one zoo, that's quite a bit of revenue. And it's natural community engagement, and it's really aligned with our mission. So we've gotten the traction we have so far with the technical team and our history of success. We're really an execution-based team. I'm a founder with a history of 2 successful business acquisitions. I was an aerospace engineer at UT Austin alumni, and then went to program space station simulators at NASA. Afterwards, I created a family business, sold that, and then an oil and gas startup. What's really important, more important to me, is that the team that I'm with right now, we've been working together a long time. We have AI experts, software, hardware experts, and most importantly, a really solid board of advisors that gives us education experts, business experts, people that have had successful failures, successful acquisitions, everything along those lines. I really believe that by playing this game and by us succeeding, we're fulfilling a higher purpose. Like, we will change the world. We'll be able to help educate the next generation of scientists, help them get more balance. And all of our data sets, by the way, we can contribute to global ecological observatories. We can help with training data sets for animal occurrences with all the wild forgelings running around in nature, taking pictures of their backyard. Our SEAL decision is a go. Our main focus here was to really refine and polish our pitch to get our foot in the door at our local zoo. We thought that was the best beachhead. And based on all the help and support we've gotten, we've succeeded that and have really strong verbal conversations so far. And hopefully, we think it's time to get a beer and get back to work and go and get ready for these October trials where we're going to get actual market data outside of just our families. So what we're needing after that is right now we're trying to get through all of our capital that we've invested ourselves. I really believe we should go through that, get the most data from that. But if you're interested, we'd love if you give us your email, keep in touch, wait till the end of the year. We'll be back with more data, more information, and we're excited to share our results from the zoo trials. Our needs is, what I'm finding is, as we do a lot of things, we probably need one more creative digital content specialist just to help move the game development along after we've finished out some of our prototypes. But thank you. We're the Wild Forge team, and hopefully we can get all the kids back outside together. Yeah, thanks.
All right, last but certainly not least, we have on to the stage.
There we go. All right. Clicker. All right, my name is Iman. I'm a PhD student in mechanical engineering here at UT Austin and also the co-inventor of Trinity Tube. So before I get this started, just a quick heads up that some medical images are shown, could be potentially disturbing.
So this video is showing a baby that was born 12 weeks early, almost 3.5 months early, under 1.5 pounds. This is the very first impression, the first time that the mom is cuddling the baby. As you can see, there's a lot of tubes and wires attached to this premature baby. It's really hard for the nursing team to manage all those wires, as well as just to have the mom carrying the baby, making that personal and skin-to-skin contact and connection. A skin contact that is called kangaroo care is one of the practices that is done out there that helps the baby for neurological development. But as you can see, the nursing team is really working hard, organizing all of those wires and tubes. And as you can see, there are some tangling happening. So when one of these are detached, alarm goes off, and they have to take the baby back to the NICU. So preterm birth is the first cause of mortality in premature babies. There are 360 babies born premature in the US every year, and this is almost 10% of all the babies born. There are multiple categories of preterm birth, and the most severe one is when babies are born 23 to 28 weeks gestation. And those are the category of babies that need the most attention and care. There are development delays, some chronic respiratory disease and problems, and also vision and hearing impairment with prematurity. In a NICU, typically babies receive somewhere around 20 different devices attached to their skin and body, or sometimes they get some tubes into their body to help them with feeding. And almost all babies in the NICU receive a feeding tube that does nothing other than that. So it's just a simple piece of plastic that helps babies with feeding because they can't swallow themselves. So the question is, can we make a better use of this feeding tube? So let's dive into some of the other problems these babies are experiencing with these devices. So all the adhesives attached to baby's skin causes irritation and a skin breakdown. So sometimes it doesn't even skin very well because preterm babies naturally have vernix liquid on their skin, so it doesn't help to stick to their skin. So the other thing is babies that are born premature receive respiratory help. And respiratory help is through CPAP or nasal cannula. So in order to receive an effective respiratory help, you need to provide enough sealing around their nose so no air is escaping from their lungs. And it's really hard to do that because you have to put a lot of tapes on baby's face or just making sure the mask fits very well. It puts a lot of pressure on baby's nose. So the other thing is when you have babies in respiratory help, some of the air leaks into their belly, causes a disease called CPAP belly, and also leading into feeding tolerance issues and also just regular sickness of the babies and can't take oxygen anymore. And also, as you can see, there's a lot of pressure on the baby's nose as part of that CPAP being on their nose. Last but not least, wires. So a lot of wires are used and tubes used in that setting, and can we make it less? So our solution is a multifunctional feeding tube that not only helps the baby to get fed, it also helps them to release or extract a gas out of them, get vital signs. And the vital signs are ECG. So when you have those ECG leads on the baby's skin, now we can get them from that feeding tube. So that's why I said, can we make a better use of the feeding tube? So what we're doing here, we are putting all those sensors on the feeding tube because feeding tube is already there. So we want to make a better use of that. So we have ECG leads on the tube, we have a temperature sensor on the tube, and we also have a pressure sensor. And the reason for the pressure sensor is when there is a leak on those CPAP masks, enough oxygen doesn't reach into baby's lungs. So this way we can measure how much baby actually getting the oxygen, so the nursing team can basically adjust the oxygen level and the pressure and flow level to make sure baby is getting enough oxygen. So this tube goes into the stomach, so we can feed the baby and vent the gas out. All the sensors and electronics stay in the esophagus, so we can get a stronger electrocardiogram signal from the heart because it's closer to the heart on the inside. So this is a baby showing a couple of sensors attached to his or her skin. We have ECG temperature, and we have a CPAP mask. When we use our tube, we're going to get rid of those wires, so we are removing 4 wires. But not only that, we can go from CPAP mask to nasal cannula, because if air is leaking, that's fine. We can still adjust it from inside, and nasal cannulas are more comfortable to the babies than CPAP mask. So this is our team. We have a great collection of neonatologists, NICU nurses, and me and my PhD advisor, who is also a co-founder of older SEAL team here, ClearCam, with Brian Bergeron, our industry and regulatory expert. We worked together so far to build this product. So the total market for neonatal temperature, feeding tube, and ECG leads are around $3 billion globally and $1.2 billion in the US. A baby, the top extreme category of sick babies in the NICU are around 55,000 babies per year. And they typically stay in the hospital around 46 days in average. So if there is, our device dwelling time is around 7 days. So after each 7 day, we replace that device with a 368,000 units sold per year and a price target of $300. Our target market, obtainable market, is around $110 million. And our target market is NICU level 3 and 4 that carry those, the most sickest babies. Our beachhead market is academic and training and universities. So those are the ones that are more willing to test this device after it's released. In terms of competition, we have standalone devices that on the invasive but single function, and we have non-invasive and multifunction. Our device is the only one measuring all those features I told you, as well as feeding babies and venting gas. So right now, we filed our provisional patent last year. We have a 2 functional prototype of 6 French and 8 French size, and we also got that tested on our animal model. We won several investment competitions and raised around $125,000 of non-dilutive funding. We also interviewed 200 parents, nurses, and neonatologists to understand their needs, and after those interviews, we pivoted a little bit and changed some of our features. So in the next 3 months, we're going to do an IRB study. We're going to manufacture our minimum viable product, get this tested on the babies in the NICU that are at lower risk. And then based on the result of that, we're going to get into our larger study or larger test and experiments. So we're going to raise some money to get started on the FDA work in the next 6 and 12 months and raise more funding like SBIR to get all the FDA required testing done. And in 24 months, we're expecting to get into market if everything goes well. So thank you very much. This is the same baby you saw in the video. So he's grown up and even older than this picture now. So, yeah.
Great job, Iman. Thank you so much. I got a new mic. All right, let's give a big round of applause for all the pitches today. That concludes our pitches. They did an amazing job. Please stick around. We have the space for another hour. There's a ton of food and a ton of drinks. So please hang out, network, talk to the founders, ask them questions. They had a lot of asks today for things throughout their pitches. So if you have any connections for them or anything that they asked for, please connect with them. I'm sure they really appreciate it. And then before any of the founders leave, we want to come up to the front of the stage for a group picture. So if y'all could come on up. And then thank you all so much for coming. Really appreciate your time. Have a great day.